Welcome to the Inspection Empire Builder podcast. On this episode, we are talking about building trust with clients to gain repeat business and so much more. You do not want to miss this episode.
Now people are calling and booking online for these things, and it's such an opportunity for home inspectors because you're the first one there, right? You're there, You're talking to the person before they even buy the home.
Well, welcome to the Inspection Empire Builder podcast. I'm Matt Williams, your host, and on today's episode, we have a phenomenal guest. Katie York from Spectora is with us, and we have so many things to talk about, and I can't wait for you to hear this episode as we move forward. Katie, how are you doing today?
I am great. Thanks for having me. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. It was funny. We were just chatting right before we hit record, and we were talking about how you live in Denver, which is Spectora's headquarters. I'm actually in Albuquerque, just a few hours down the road. So we're almost like neighbors. Howdy, neighbor.
Incredible. I've been meaning to get down to Albuquerque anyway. So
it's pretty amazing. It's a beautiful city.
That's what
beautiful city. Yeah. So you joined Spectora a few years ago, and you've been part of the customer success team and many other things. I want to hear a little bit about that. When did you join Spectora? And what was it like in the early days?
Yeah, I joined Spectora January 2020, which I think everyone remembers well, as it was right before COVID and everything like that. So when I joined Spectora, there were 10 total employees, 2,000 customers. You know, we were getting off the ground, and Mike and Kevin just needed some additional help with the support chat bubble. So that was my job. I came in and learned everything off of our YouTube channel, I believe, and just was like making stuff up. You know, to be honest with you, there was no training process. It was just like fly by the seat of your pants. And I kind of came in and had the opportunity to make it not like that. So I have sort of worked my way up within that organization, and I am the head of customer experience now. But I've been able to create systems and processes that support other employees being successful that maybe can't come in and, you know, just fly by the seat of their pants every day for 2 years until they know everything. So it's been a really wild experience, but I've loved every minute of it. And it's very different now than it was back then, for sure, but it's all been fun. Like every part of the way has been fun. Every person that we've acquired through interviewing and hiring and growing our company has just been delightful, and I love working with them every single day. So we've really done a great job of protecting that initial culture too.
I love that. Yeah. And who you hire matters so much because it can impact your culture. Everybody you bring on impacts your culture a little bit. And so you got to make sure they're in alignment. So they had less than 2,000 customers when you came on. Here we are roughly 5.5 years later. Are you allowed to say how many customers you guys service now?
I am allowed. Okay. And it is 10,000 plus. So
10,000 plus.
Yes.
10,001.
Grown 10,001 at least. We've grown so much, and you know, each customer kind of changes our culture a little bit too. I would say it's really interesting getting to know all of the new people who come on. The expectation of customers is so different when you're a small company and they're like, yeah, let me try your new product, you know, that's only been out for a couple years, versus the people who are coming on expecting, you know, like, you've been around, you're this big company, this is perfection now, which is rightfully so. But it is just interesting to watch like the evolution of customers along with like the evolution of employees too.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I started my company in 2019. So I say this all the time on the show, but my first inspection was in April of 2019, and I used Spectora from day one. And in 2019, the product was, I think it was still all coming out of somebody's basement, if I had to guess. You know, it was very much in the very front end startup. I think there was like 4 people working there or something, 5 people. So much so when I would get the chat bubble, Kevin Wagstaff would answer the chat bubble himself. He would be on there chatting. And of course, over the time, like that was just in the very, very beginning. And so, I do remember chatting with you years and years ago, in the beginning stage, because our company was a startup. And so it was kind of funny. Like my company was just starting up right after Spectora kind of started going. And so, yeah, my expectations of what Spectora was going to do for me, My journey with Spectora was, as my company was growing, there were times where Spectora's capacity was here. My company would grow, and all of a sudden I'm pushing the boundaries of, like, I wish Spectora could just do this or that, because that would help me. And I didn't have that need before, but now as I've added employees and features and things, God, they just had this. And right about the time I was like, golly, I wish they had this feature. Sure enough, bang, it rolls out. And so as my company was growing, what Spectora was providing was like just neck and neck with what I needed as my business was growing. And so it was kind of a fun journey. Every time we hit a ceiling or a frustration point, Spectora added that feature or improved that feature or whatever it might be to just fit exactly what we were at and what we need. Now Spectora is so big. Now I don't run into that problem at all. I'm not, everything I run into, they're already light years ahead of where I'm at with my business.
That's so fun to hear. And being on the other side of that exact same timeline, we were watching out for the feature requests coming in to the chat and making sure that we got those over to the engineering team. But like, to create the organization behind that is so difficult. Like, it sounds like it'd be so easy, but when you have 2,000 inputs and only, X number of engineers who have to get the right inputs for, business decisions and things like that, it's crazy. So I am tickled to hear that was your experience. I know that was quite a few people's experience, and that becomes, a bigger and bigger challenge when now you have 10,000 inputs, and, we've grown our engineering team, but there aren't 10,000 engineers. So we can't, build.
I don't get my own dedicated engineer just to implement the features that I want.
That would be,
that's it. I'm out of here.
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to find a software that meets my needs.
Yes.
With my own
Custom
dedicated
software is a thing. You can
I want my own engineer just to implement my requests.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I imagine people probably are like, I don't know, it sounds a little narcissistic probably, but to be like, think that their needs are the only ones that matter. But yeah.
Basically everyone. And I think that's fine. If you haven't actually worked at a tech company or you don't understand the back end stuff, it's your right to want something and to be passionate about it. So I'm honestly like, you know what? Great. But we can't always do it. It doesn't change the outcome every time. So we do our best. We listen. We send out surveys. We try to gather, what do the most people want? And then we act on that stuff while keeping up with, regular maintenance and bugs and making things better too. So I do not envy our product team's job of figuring out, what to do with all that. So I just send the information their way.
Love it. Yeah. All right. So something that you guys have done a really good job at that I've noticed is that you guys build brand like loyalty and trust with your clients, like guys like me, inspection companies, 10,000 plus, and you've done it in a really solid way. I would love to know some of your insights on how do you build loyalty and trust in relationships that way?
Yeah. So I think I've noticed a lot over the years of talking to however many thousands of inspectors that I've talked to at this point. And I'm speaking mostly to our, newer, either solo operations or newer operations here. But the way that we kind of tackle that at Spectora, is first of all, the hiring process, right? Like our people, you mentioned that earlier, that it impacts the culture of who I'm working with and how happy I am working. However, it also impacts how we can communicate with customers. Our sales team is talking to people every single day. Our CS team is talking to people every single day. And we hire people who have the soft communication skills that make people feel at ease and comfortable and taken care of and important. And that is all, I'm making it sound like robotic, but it's innate. Like you have to hire someone who can make someone else feel special, and it's hard to teach that. So that's a huge part of our hiring process, is just making sure that someone has those soft skills. I do want to say, if someone listening to this is self-aware and knows that they don't have those soft skills, they're not impossible to train. But if they don't come as easily, you just have to kind of focus on that, because that is, I think, the number one thing that you need in order to build trust with people, because that's just how you come off as a person. They need to trust you if you're the only person at your company. So you better be good at that.
Yeah, that is very true. And, in the beginning of any inspection company, like my first days as well, I'm answering the phone. I'm scheduling the appointments. I'm the guy showing up. I'm the guy doing all of it, including all the different stuff to deal with regulatory things, running the business, bookkeeping, like on and on and on, right? But being the solopreneur, which so many guys in our industry are solopreneurs, or they're a smaller operation where they have maybe a handful, 1, 2, 3 inspectors, on their team. That's a very common thing to see in the inspection industry. These larger companies that are running, 8, 10, 12, 20, 40. I just had someone on the other day with 39 inspectors. That's a much bigger machine. But that's the exception. That's not the rule. The vast majority of home inspectors are smaller operations, and they're looking to grow, which is why they're tuning into podcasts like this, that they're looking for ways to grow personally or with their business. And but back in the beginning, it's like, yeah, I'm answering the phone, I'm building the trust, and then I'm the guy going out doing the inspection, building the trust. I'm the guy going to the social events with realtors trying to earn business, building the trust. But as a business company grows, so I'm building the trust everywhere that I can build it. But as the company grows, now I got to hire people to do that for me and or with me. But in the beginning, right, it's up to you. You're the guy or the gal. You are the one that has to build it. And so
Kevin Wagstaff is answering your chats because he's the guy,
Right. Yeah, he was the owner of the company. And I'm not going to lie. There was one time I was 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, pumping out a report, and I couldn't figure something out. I threw it in the green chat bubble, and the owner of the company was on there and texted me back at 10:30 at night, Mountain Time. Well, you guys are Mountain Time too. So it was 10:30 at night, his time as well, answering the chat bubble, right? If that doesn't build trust with a client, I don't know what does.
Exactly. And I think the pitfall that I see a lot with these newer inspectors who are trying to get their business off the ground, and actually I see this with my employees as well, it's kind of a human nature thing, is falling back into what's comfortable instead of kind of pushing yourself. So a lot of times what I see with the inspectors is they're obsessing over the formatting of the PDF of their final report or the page numbers, which is important. I don't want everyone to come after me with pitchforks. It's important stuff. You want your reports to look professional. That is the number one thing that we deliver. So I know how important that is.
As a report writing software. Yep.
Yes. As a report writing software, I agree. That's very important. However, if you're just getting started and you're spending 5 hours of your day obsessing over, where a period sits on the final report, that is a trailing indicator for your customers that you are trustworthy. And they have no idea that you're trustworthy until you deliver the report. That's not going to work, because you're never going to get them to actually schedule an inspection because they won't see your report. So I think what I see a lot is people fall back into kind of obsessing over the settings and, the little nitty gritty things, when you got to just push yourself out of your comfort zone and get out there, talk to people, practice your soft communication skills, build trust. And then part of what I haven't even mentioned yet is the online presence and the ability to build trust online, which doesn't even have to do with you.
Wow. So obsessing, oh man, I was so guilty of this. Obsessing over the report, which is honestly the last contact we really make with them, unless there's a follow-up email. How was your experience? But really that's the last thing we're providing. And if we're waiting for that to build the trust, golly, we need to be obsessing over the front end of trust building. And then that amazing report comes through. Man, that's such a good point. I was stuck there for a period of time, obsessing over my report and not obsessing over the front end of the transaction. And like you said, the website is our first point of contact with a potential customer.
Absolutely. And if
they honestly are probably going to see the website before they see a person or talk to a person.
Usually, yes. At least I'm speaking for myself, but I normally research businesses online before I reach out. I look at Google reviews. I'm looking at how professional does the website look? Are there pictures of humans on the website, or is it all stock images? How legitimate does this company look? Because unfortunately, in today's world, there are a lot of not real websites out there as well, of not real businesses that are just looking to take your money. So you have to make sure that you come through as a very obvious professional who knows what they're doing and can be trusted with this huge transaction. And that's just not always the case. I see a lot of people who maybe they have a website, but they aren't getting found by Google. And Google is the master of the search engines. We all know that. Yep. And so if you're not being found on Google, then really the only people seeing your website are the ones who have maybe your business card or, see some other advertisement directly from you, but you're missing out on a lot of exposure there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've had multiple digital marketing companies on the show where they talk about how you have to get the Google My Business profile done the right way. If you're going to run ads, there's different types of ads. There's the Google service companies ads. There's different pay-per-click or all the different things. I don't pretend to know it all on that side.
Me neither.
I have a company that does that. And now with AI rolling out, the marketing and exposure online, that whole idea is changing radically again. Because of the way AI is and the way AI internet searches are happening. So even when you Google something, you see they have like the AI summary that's in there. That's a whole new way that it's scouring the internet for information. And so we have to now recalibrate our online presence to be able to be AI, like not just friendly, but like AI native, so that like the AI will scour our website and use us as a link and use our stuff as one of the primary sources for home inspections, in my case, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so, yeah, like the whole online thing is a whole other thing. And people need to be able to build trust from the very moment that they encounter your website. And I know that Spectora does websites. Is that still true?
That is still true. How convenient. We build websites, and we have in-house designers that work with just our customers, so only home inspectors. We also added in the last year a product called SEO Boost. And this is, an SEO product that can help you get found on Google and other places like that. Because as I just mentioned, it's not enough just to have a website, unfortunately, in today's world. So we've got
Well, and full disclosure, my website is a Spectora website.
No way.
It is. I'm all in. That's right. That's right.
I love
I'm a
that.
full bandwagon fan. I had so I started with a ghetto home built Wix site, Wix, and so I was so proud of that thing. But I worked forever to build that thing out and get it to the way I wanted to, because I'm not super tech savvy. I'm savvy enough. And so me and Wix were homies for a little while. And then one of the major first purchases I made was during my first year. So April of 2019 is when I started. I believe it was the end of 2019 when I reached out to Spectora's web team and said, I need to do this. And so I had them rebuild it professionally, and it made a huge difference on my internet searches, having it done the right way by a professional, not just me at home on my couch at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
For some
reason, I work closely with our designers and the head of the team over there, Matt. And they talk all the time about, we're adding these SEO tags on the back end. We're adding these service tags on the back end. And I'm like, man, if I was a person at home trying to do this myself, and I work for a tech company, so I would imagine that I'm fairly tech savvy. I've never built a website, but I would not know to do any of those things. And I'm not sure that a website I built would get found. But that's why we've got the professionals. We've got people, all of our designers have been with us for 5 years as well, too. So they have talked to so many inspectors, and they end up just being kind of consultants that can help out with, your online presence in general. So it's a lot less scary when you can ask somebody who's approachable and kind and knows about, the inspection industry as a whole.
Yeah. And I like how you mentioned these web designers are acting like consultants, right? That's kind of the shift I think that's happening inside of the inspection world too, a little bit, is what used to be, we're just the inspector. But now people are leaning on us, I think, more and more for more information and more advice and more we're almost consultants in a way.
Yeah, I've heard actually a lot about this from some of the larger inspection companies when I've gone to IUB conferences as well, talking about how to turn the one-time transaction into repeat customers. I think on both sides, there's a need for it. As a homeowner, a first-time homeowner, I know that there's a need for all these little services around the home, having an additional home inspection 2-3 years in, even sprinkler blowouts and gutter cleaning, those are little things that I didn't know how to do, right? I didn't know how to do these things because I think, there's just been such a generational shift and I didn't learn how to do that stuff. So now people are calling and booking online for these things. And it's such an opportunity for home inspectors because you're the first one there, right? You're there, you're talking to the person before they even buy the home. So before they get that packet in the mail of, HVAC guys and, all the advertisements. I don't know if everyone gets those, but the value pack, right?
Yeah. When you first move in,
get that,
especially when you first move in, you get kind of bombarded. I just bought a new house myself this year in April, and the bombardment of welcome to the neighborhood from all the different stores, and trying to give me coupons for whatever. Yeah. That's one thing that's interesting about the home inspection is we know exactly what needs to happen in that specific address, a specific property. And we know it before anybody else knows that that's even an issue that needs to get handled. So we are on the forefront of the information. Whereas Home Depot just gets a notification that, Matt Williams bought a house. And so now I'm getting coupons from Home Depot or Lowe's for whatever they think is the most commonly purchased things when people are moving in the houses. So I'm getting 10% off for flooring. I'm getting, 10% off for appliances. I'm getting coupons from them because they know when you move into a new house, you got to take care of a few things and you're pretty motivated to do it. And so they look at what the most popular things are and advertise to that. Whereas if they knew what we knew about the house, they would stop advertising for appliances and start advertising for that HVAC system that is beyond age and struggling. But they're just blanket advertising 10% off flooring, 10% off appliances because they don't know when we do. And I think that's a fascinating thing that other companies are taking that information and advantage that we have and turning that into reoccurring revenue. And I would love to ask you, what the heck are they doing for reoccurring revenue inside of the home inspection space?
So what I've seen is the home inspector is there first, like we just said. They know what all the issues are with the home before it's even purchased by the person who purchases it. They have a relationship with that person, ideally, if they're doing all the things that we already just talked about. And most importantly, I think they know the ideal order in which these things should be fixed, right? And this homeowner, this poor, confused, lost homeowner, I'm referencing myself, needs help with all of those things. So I've even heard of this home consultant being sold as a monthly subscription option where you can reach out to your home inspector that's now your home consultant and ask questions and then dip into, maybe my home inspector knows 2 or 3 HVAC people who do a really nice job. To me, that's such a valuable reference so that I don't have to go onto Google and just kind of randomly search around for somebody who, has a really nice online presence and builds trust that way. But I would rather maybe go through somebody that I know and trust already. So I have seen a subscription model. I don't see it that often. I've seen it, maybe here and there. I've also just seen, re-inspections every 12 months. I think that's a great one to make sure that people are protecting the asset that they purchase that has huge value. And you can just, automate email follow-ups that send out reminders for that. So hardly any additional work to get that recurring revenue from those customers. And like I already mentioned, like the little sprinkler stuff, but those things need to happen several times a year. So
they do, like a home maintenance type package, maybe like a home maintenance program where you spend monthly, but we come out twice a year to take care of maybe the spring things, and then the fall we take care of the fall things. I could see that almost like a handyman type house maintenance service would be good. One that we've encountered is people want to do contractor verifications. So they'll get a roof redone. They'll get a brand new roof put on the house. They'll call us and have us come out and verify that it's done and done the right way. We're starting to see more and more of that where, they put a new water heater in or a new furnace or HVAC or they put in whatever it might be working on. They'll call us out and we have a specific We can squeeze it between jobs. It's not like doesn't take up a home inspection slot. It's just an add-on thing. Don't quote me, but I think we charge $200 to stop by and do a single system inspection. So if they got a new roof, they have us come by. We go verify that everything is done the right way before they write the final check on that roof. And they'll tell their roofer, my home inspector is going to come back through at the end and verify everything before I write you the final check. And so you make your progress payments like you would any other project, but then that final payment, we come out, verify that, because then you have leverage over the contractor. Be like, all right, we just got to make sure these 3 things are done. And so we've been seeing more and more of that coming up too. That's more, it's not a reoccurring thing, but I like the reoccurring of like the house maintenance thing. That's a great idea. And you've already built the trust. And we kind of talked a little bit about the trust building, but it does kind of spark me to want to go back to that a little bit, because like, so you build the website, right? And I think the online presence matters. You got to have the Google reviews. You got to have the reviews on all the different platforms. You got to get those up. And then you got to have a good web presence. So now your internet presence is solid. So then they decide what? They're like, oh, I think this might be the inspector I want to call or at least get a quote from. So they call. How do you build trust from that point?
Yeah, that's where your soft skills have to come in. So you've got to be available first, right? If they're calling you. So whether it's you or you have enough calls and work that you've got to have somebody like a support staff person, but you've got to hire the right person for that to be the face of your company. It's not just like, who can I find for the cheapest amount of salary per year to get this to happen, because that's not going to build trust with these customers. So you've got to be friendly and you've got to come out the gate like a subject matter expert, but one that is not judgmental, right? Because people need to feel safe asking what they might think are stupid questions. And what some inspectors might think are stupid questions, right? But you can't ever let the client know that that's what you're thinking, because you are kind of the subject matter expert here. They stand to spend a lot of money, especially in the market today, for what they're looking at in a home. And you are the one that they're looking to for, hey, should I do this or not? So you have to come forward with that kind of attitude where you're like firm, but you also are opening up for questions, and you're just very personable, trusting, warm. Those are great characteristics. So
I love that. Yeah. And so you have to be able to develop that as a one-man guy. It's true. Like if you're up in the attic, you can't answer the phone, I was there in the beginning, right? And until I grew enough. Yeah. But then people don't leave a voicemail, or they might not, or they might send a text message, depending what your voicemail says. Mine said, can't answer the phone right now. You leave a message, send a text message, whatever is more convenient. But sometimes people don't, you just miss a call. And so you get out of the attic and then you've missed 3 calls, 4 calls, and then it's like, okay, you try calling them back and you realize half of them are like spam, sales marketing. You're like, oh, okay. But after a while you get tired of doing it. Like, I'm not going to lie. You get tired of returning the phone calls. And it's like, that's when I knew like I needed to hire somebody, because you're right. If nobody answers the phone, they can't book the inspection unless.
Exactly. Or they think, is this spam?
All right. Is this even real? Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, and not necessarily the home inspection industry, but I've seen it in other trades for myself, where I went to go try to figure out pricing on something. And so that the website is nothing more than a data aggregator that they sell the data to other companies that actually do the work. And you know what I'm talking about? And so you end up like, now you're getting harassed and by multiple companies, and it's like, I just had a few questions, people, and but sometimes there's those types of websites, and that's kind of a spammy way to do it. And they don't know that we're legit. They just look at our website and they think, oh yeah, but then nobody answers. And then you're like, I don't know, hang up. I'll just call the next one. Somebody's going to answer my questions, So you got to answer the call, right? You got to be warm, judgment free, right? Yep. There's no stupid questions, only stupid people. We know that.
Exactly.
I'm kidding. But so you got to answer their questions, make a safe space for them to answer those questions. Because I think you create an emotionally safe space for the caller, like you're saying, and then that gives them the trust to be able to get maybe a little more vulnerable with their quote unquote dumb question, which no stupid questions. And then, and so then what? All right. So you've got this warm environment. You've got a little bit of trust going on the phone call. Then what? What are some other things you can do?
Then ideally you're getting them booked, right? You get them all scheduled for the inspection. they should get some sort of confirmation from you via email, text, or both that says, hey, this is real. We talked on the phone. Here is the confirmation in case you forgot the date, time, whatever it is. They should get, I think, multiple reminders, because you never want to show up to an inspection and the client forgot or isn't buying this house anymore, and now you've wasted 30 minutes to an hour driving. And also, it just helps you look more professional, and that does build that trust as well. You can, I suppose, do all of this manually by sending emails from your inbox and sending text messages, but there are platforms out there like Spectora where you can just automate this, and it happens automatically for every booking that you have. So ideally, you would have this set up. It's completely professional. It builds trust for you, and you don't have to actually put any time into that. And then the next step, of course, is at the inspection. I'm not going to speak on how to inspect a home, but you need to continue that warm presence throughout. I know there's a lot of issues with the client following inspectors around in the home and things like that. I think it's okay to set boundaries, but in a friendly way, and then give, the customer the time at the end of the inspection, maybe during the, the driveway speech or whatever it is. Because there is the possibility for that, recurring revenue there. So you're not just wasting your time, you're building that relationship. And then when you say at the end, okay, here's everything that's wrong with the home. If you purchase this home, I would recommend a re-inspection in 11 months, and I will send you a reminder about that, but feel free to reach out to me at any time. So just keeping the relationship open, I think, is really, really important. And just continuing that warmth and friendliness on site.
I love that. And one thing I really love about the way Spectora's automated emails are, because I use the Spectora platform as in every aspect I possibly can. And we're adding more stuff as we're going right now. We've added a few beta features right now that we're working on, and we're rolling those out, and we're excited about being on the front lines for that on Spectora as well. But one of the things that I love about it is the automated emails have the picture of the inspector that's going to show up at the house. And so that builds trust. It's like you see the picture of the guy, and I think it'd be fun to do. We haven't done this yet, but putting in some sort of a bio for the inspector, and like what's their go-to coffee drink, and what's a little bit of information, and it's just, if it's like, whatever, this guy's coming out, he likes, his favorite drink is an Americano with blah, 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 and then, he's got an amazing, wife and three beautiful children. And, you kind of give a little bit of personalized something in the little signature thing of each inspector. We've been kind of toying with that a little bit, make it fun, make it kind of lighthearted. But that does is it humanizes, it humanizes the person that's coming out. And so then it's not just a cog. You don't feel like a cog in the machine. You feel like, oh, there's a real person that's reaching out. And I'm also curious, how many people are going to show up with your favorite coffee?
I know. I was thinking about that too. Do you think that they would? Maybe the agent might anyway,
the agent might, right? People might show up and be like, here, I got you your favorite coffee, and then I wonder if we could put Jack and Coke and see what happens. No, you probably shouldn't drink on the job.
It would be a choice,
realtors.
but you could.
Realtors tend to be like a drinkier community.
100%. I was going to say the realtors stopping at Starbucks before they come to the inspection anyway. So
they are. They're going to bring in. They're going to bring in a Starbucks and they're going to bring in muffins or whatever else. So yeah, you know what? That's a strategy. I think I'm going to talk with my guys about this. Hey, let's create some crafty bios and let's see what comes out of this thing. How many free Starbucks are we going to get?
There you go. A little A/B testing.
I like it. I like it. We're gonna have to try that now. Now we're thinking about it. And I think building the trust. So I can probably comment on building the trust on site, because that's something that we work very hard at. And one of the things that in all my research, what I've learned is that people have 7 seconds in their first impression to determine whether or not you're going to be fighting an uphill battle or a downhill battle with that client. You have 7 seconds. And so that starts from the second they can see anything related to your business on site. So in my case, that's why I have a whole fleet of newer white vans and trucks and SUVs that are all wrapped up in shiny logos. All of my things, they're on a fleet car wash account. Over here, we have a brand called Mr. Car Wash, and they're not everywhere, but they have a ton of locations in Albuquerque. And so, hey, listen, you have a sticker on your windshield for unlimited exterior washes. And make sure when you show, if your van is dirty. So at the end of the day, like the guys know, my crew knows if I show up and all the vans and cars, cause they all get stored at the office. If they're dirty, I'm sending text messages like your van looks filthy, and I'll send it in the group chat with everybody. And I'd be like, and I will take pictures of the van and with the license plate on the back. And I'd be like, this van looks disgusting. Next time I come by, next time I see it, it better be clean. And I put it in the group chat so everybody gets like, and then, with the way our crew is, they start going like, yeah, they're dirty like you're whatever, and they start like kind of giving each other a hard time. And it's kind of fun, and so like with that first second, you have 7 seconds. So in my case, they turn the corner of the house, they see our inspection van parked, not illegally, legally parked, facing the right direction in that street in front of the house. We're not cockeyed, weird, wonky park. We're crisp in our parking because that's part of your 7 seconds. If they see you climb out of the van, when you open that door, you better not have trash falling out, right? You climb out, you shut the door, nothing's falling out of the van. The windows are tinted on purpose so nobody can see how dirty you are, you filthy little animals, and nobody can see, right? And so anyhow, we have the 7 seconds, and then when you greet them, we have to look them in the eye, shake their hand, like, firm, but not too hard, and say, it's really good to meet you. I'm excited to do this inspection today. And so that driveway talk that we have, we do a couple of things is we raise the energy. We make it a positive thing, not a negative thing. And so we try to make it a very positive, encouraging, uplifting environment. We want to compliment something about the house, because as the buyer is coming into this home purchase and the inspection day, they're stressed out. They've been worried for days. They're imagining all the terrible things we're going to find. And so when we show up and set a positive tone, an energetic, edifying, uplifting, encouraging atmosphere from the minute, and then we find something that we like about the house. And if you don't, make something up. I love the size of the tree in the front yard. That provides so much shade. I don't care if you like trees. Find something that you like. Oh, the color of the color of the front door. Like, it looks really sharp. I like this. Oh man, look at this street. It looks so calm and peaceful. I love this part of town. Whatever it might be, you find something that you like about the house that isn't going to sink or swim a deal, but something that you can compliment. So you're reaffirming their position that they have made a good decision in buying this house. Even the inspector finds things that he likes. And so, you end up kind of setting this positive, uplifting tone. And then what we always do is we set expectations on the house. This house was built in, Kylie, when was this house built? And we know, like, it's part of the game. You're like, oh, it was built in 1978. Oh, 1978. Let's do the math. 47-ish years old. And they're like, yeah. I was like, awesome. All right. So today we're going to be inspecting a 47-year-old used house. This thing's been used by many families over the course of 47 years. Not everything's going to be original. Hopefully, not everything is 47 years old in this house, right? And they were like laughing. He's like, yeah, but we're going to find some 47-year-old stuff. We're going to find some stuff that's brand new. We're going to find some stuff that's halfway in the middle of its useful life. We're going to find stuff towards the end of its useful life, because for 47 years, we'll say it over and over again, it's been used by multiple families, on and on and on. So hopefully today, all we find is just the normal 47-year-old used house stuff, because that's what we're buying, right? And they're like, yeah, does that sound like a plan? Man, that sounds great. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go through this house. This is what I'm going to do. My pattern that I do. You're welcome to follow me around and ask questions. You're not allowed to go on the roof. You're not allowed to go in the attic, or whatever your boundaries are. And then, and like, hey, I'm going to go through my system. Don't interrupt my system. You can follow me, but don't distract me from my pattern, because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. I want to make sure I give you a really good inspection. And then at the end, I'll give you a rundown of everything. If you don't want to follow me, I'll give you a breakdown of everything at the end, And normally they're like, okay, friendly, positive. He's not going to be negatively ripping my house apart with a cheese shredder, right? You build that trust that's on that front end. You give them the boundaries in a friendly, positive way, and then you do your job, and that's kind of how we set up the front end. To help build trust with clients. So in the field. So here's the deal. Like, what you're saying is absolutely so gold. If your website is tight, right? Maybe they look at our online scheduler because we use the Spectora online scheduler, which by the way is brilliant. Love the way that thing works. So you get the online presence right. You get the phone presence right? You're building trust through every point of communication all the way down. By the time they're showing up, your 7 seconds should be an easy wind at your back experience if you've done the right things up to that point. And then when you're on there, keep sailing for the vision, keep pushing forward on building trust. It's like always be closing, right? You're like a sales guy all the time. You're building trust all the way through the whole thing. And it creates a super positive experience. And then at the end, like you say, well, now it's like, who are they going to think of if they know there's a reoccurring maintenance option, or there's, I getting contractors' work inspected, or I need a referral for an HVAC technician. I trust my home inspector because he knows what the heck he's doing, because he's built the trust over all this time. I love what you're talking about on building trust, and I love how Spectora is so good at it, and it makes it easy for guys like me to actually build that trust.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's so interesting, and I think hearing you talk about, the trash falling out of the vehicle, I'm literally here picturing this moment happening, and that's the stuff that this industry needs to obsess over. I think,
yes.
The report can be honestly good enough, right? Like, you get the information there, Spectora will put it together for you, right? Like, it's going to look good. You can't mess it up. That's kind of the whole point. But yeah, we gotta obsess over the connection and the people, because AI is going to do, a lot of this stuff for us anyway. So let's obsess over the human connection and the kind of stuff that can't be replaced by, a bot.
So true. Like, AI is going to change the game for business in all sectors globally in a very quick way. Mm-hmm. And the things that we can obsess over, like systems, processes, how things click together, how the report looks, AI is going to step in and make all those things a lot better real quickly. And I think it's going to change us as people, how we connect with other people. The human interaction is going to become so much more valuable, because you can get a robotic interaction that's perfect everywhere. And to get real, authentic, actual human connection is going to be the valuable thing. And if, as home inspectors, we get better at that, and even as software or whatever else it might be, whatever industry you're in, if we get better at the human connection, we're going to stand out in an AI world. Exactly.
And I think hopefully AI doing a lot of this for us, I'm taking a positive approach here, gives us more time for human connection, right? Because we don't have to be behind a screen finishing up your report for, 4 hours. I've heard from some people at conferences that are working, till midnight on reports. And that, first of all, shouldn't be your life.
It does not have to be that way. It does not.
Please call me if that's the case. But no, we should be making more time for the human connection and automating, the other stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I do think AI is going to help with those types of things. But, even before AI, Spectora's platform already built out in such a way that I was able to start producing reports. In the beginning, I said, by the end of the week is what I would get my reports out. Very quickly, I realized I could probably get my reports out by the end of the day. And so then I started promising a 48-hour turnaround, but delivering by the end of the day, and making sure that my expectations and reality.
Yep.
And so, right. And so I was promising 48 hours and getting it done before the end of the day. And then eventually I was at a place where I could do this absolutely at the end of the day. So then we started guaranteeing same day reports. And a lot of the way that Spectora works, you're gathering the data on site, and it's actually building the report for you while you're going. Mm-hmm. So our reports,
we have quite a few customers who publish on site and then they move on to the next. So, it's
our guys are there now.
Cool.
A lot, like my experienced guys are pumping them out on site because they know what they're doing. And I'm telling you that when people see that done on site, or you're driving, my favorite one was, we're punching on the iPad, right? Getting it all done. And then it's in the cloud, right? And so then you open up the truck and the laptop in the truck or the van, the guys will pop it open right there, and they'll put the final touch on, make sure everything looks like they want it to look. Because sometimes on an iPad or a phone, you can overlook it. if you're good enough, great. But on the computer screen, you just have a better view. And so the guys would go through, just double check it. And the favorite thing to do is when you're sitting out in front of the house, you've told them to give the report by the end of the day, and then you figure it all out right there, and you hit send, and then you like watch. I don't know. You're like, yeah, I'm looking. I'm like, okay. And like pretty soon the realtor and the clients are all sitting there and you're watching. And it's like all of a sudden they all pull out their phones at the same time because they're all getting the text message that your report's ready. And then you see them like pull out their phone and go, like they look at you, and they turn their head and they look at you and you're like, hey. And then you like, then you drive it off all like, and their mind's blown. Like that on-site thing, man, they love that. It's so funny. But you got to be really good. In the very beginning, you might need to, give yourself more time. But man, once you're firing all cylinders, Spectora makes it so easy to fire off.
Yeah, it's possible. It's not always recommended. I would take some time to get used to things, make sure that you're sending out the right information and that you've looked it over, you know what you're doing. But yeah, when you're in the groove, absolutely, publishing on site should be a thing.
It's money. My guys love it. It's like they talk about it all the time back in the office. And again, I'm in a small enough market that we have an office in the middle of town. All the vehicles are garaged there at night. Whereas in larger cities, that's something you got to be kind of more spread out to make it more efficient and work the right way. But we have an office. So at the end of the day, the guys are coming back and they're all parking their vans and they're finishing up their last report maybe, or they're just hanging out, watching Sports Center. It's a total man cave in the office, and especially during football season. So all the Broncos stuff is on. Go Broncos! You got to be a Broncos fan too in Denver.
Well, Chiefs. I'm from Nebraska, so
this interview is over.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I think we have the same record. We're both 1-2, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, you're not that big of a fan.
I'm not really a fan. I'm just, I'll show up. I have one shirt. So.
Okay. All right.
I have a Chiefs shirt, and I'll show up to the games mostly for the food. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Maybe Taylor Swift, right?
Always Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Always Taylor Swift. There you go. That's funny. I love that. Yeah. Man, this has been really good. I love talking about like building trust with customers, and I like your take on it and how like even the systemized approach to it and the way that you guys are doing it and the way that Spectora is built to help us build trust with customers. And I love your mentality on how like we put so much effort into the last point of contact. Like we should be putting a lot more effort into the front point of contact to build trust with people.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. It's been really nice talking to you. I haven't been to an IEB conference in a little bit. We've been sending some other people from Spectora, so I've been missing this community. So this is.
I know you're sending like the peons out. Like, what are you too big, too good for IEB's conferences now? I see how you are.
It's almost
you graduated
the opposite.
Up to.
We're giving other people the opportunity because it is so helpful and so fun and.
All right.
So
I'll give
inspiring.
you that. Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Nice save.
I wish I wasn't kidding. I really am not.
Well, hopefully you'll be at one of the next ones, one of the next events, because we always have so much fun. The conferences are so much fun. IEB puts them at great resorts every time. And there's always like swimming pools and lazy rivers and fun events and competitions. And there's costume parties sometimes and all kinds of fun things that we do. Katie, if somebody has more questions, because what you've dropped is a huge bomb for people who don't quite get this and they need to get this. Katie, if someone has more questions for you on this, how can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So if you want to talk to me directly, talk about, any of the more specific stuff that we talked about here, my email is katie@spectora.com. It's Katie. So pretty simple there. If you're interested in, our websites or our SEO services, you can hit up our website, which is just www.spectora.com. So easy one there. You'll get connected with one of our awesome salespeople or with Matt Horn himself, who is the the website's team manager. All are lovely, lovely people. And if you also just want to talk about, Spectora, you're already a Spectora user, but you want to talk about implementing some of these automations and things, I'm actually not the best person to do that anymore because I'm not as in the product. So you can reach out to our green chat bubble, as you so lovingly called it, Matt, at any time, or email support@spectora.com. and you'll talk to one of our lovely Bubble people who can be your consultant with your automations and anything else in your business.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you at another IEB event coming up.
All right, Matt.
Thanks.
Can't wait to see you. Thanks.